Good morning. Okay, we'll try this again. Good morning. I'm Lisa McClure, and I'm the chair for the Board of Trustees here at Northwest State. And on behalf of the board, we would like to thank you for joining us today for the 2022 State of the College address. Today, you're going to hear about some of the many great things happening at Northwest State, your community college, and we will share how we will positively impact our local communities, how we proudly continue to serve and support our county service area, and our plans for the future. Now I would like to introduce the president of Northwest State Community College, Dr. Todd Hernandez. Todd is a native of Northwest Ohio and a 1989 graduate of Napoleon High School. He holds a doctorate of information technology from Walden University and currently serves as our 8th president at Northwest State Community College. He joined the Northwest State team in 2010 and has served as training coordinator, Chief Information Officer, Vice President for Innovation, and Executive Vice President. Todd has served as a nuclear-trained surface warfare officer in the U.S. Navy for 8 years. He returned to Northwest Ohio in 1999 and was employed as an electrical project engineer and eventually Vice President for Product Development at Automation Feed Company in Napoleon. He has a strong commitment to helping people and strengthen our community and feels grateful to be at Northwest State Community College. He enjoys walking, reading, and golfing in his spare time. Let's have a warm welcome for Dr. Todd Hernandez. Okay, well, that was
sneaky. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I have a lot to share, so I'm going to jump right in. I always start with our mission, and our mission at Northwest State is to serve by providing access to excellent and affordable education, training, and services that will improve the lives of individuals and strengthen communities. And you can see here I've underlined a few phrases in our mission. Our first is to serve. I joined the military years ago for a number of reasons, but one of them was certainly to serve. This country has given my family such great opportunities, and I just wanted to give back. And that's what drives me, but that's also what drives the team here at Northwest State. We're here to serve. We care. And the output of our service is improving lives, and I'll share a little bit about that later in the presentation. But it's not just our team at Northwest State. It starts at the board. Last year, we had a 10-year reaccreditation visit with the Higher Learning Commission, and the team lead from that visiting team had an outbrief with Dr. Michael Thompson and I, my predecessor, and she had been doing these visits for over 30 years, and she said when she met with our board, most boards want to talk about finances and other kind of issues like that. Our board really just wanted to talk about how much we care about our students and our community. And she was completely impressed with that. Not a conversation she normally gets from a board level. So service, we care. That's why we're here. Our vision at Northwest State Community College is we will be a leader in education that empowers individuals and communities, and you'll see this trend where we talk about individuals in our community and our mission, vision, and values. Our values at Northwest State are people, integrity, learning. I like to call it our PIL, P-I-L. When we look at the verbiage behind these values, people is people first, and that's how we lead at Northwest State, but it's also bringing diverse people together to form teams that excel. Like we excel at Northwest State. Integrity is our second value, and integrity is behaving with transparency, honesty, and the output of behaving with honesty is building that trust. And when we build trust, we can have strong relationships. And relationships are important at Northwest State, the relationships between the administration and the staff and faculty, administration, or our relationships with our community, our our relationship with all of our businesses. That's what makes this work, is the relationships that Northwest State has out in the community. And learning is, we value the acquisition and application of knowledge because we know knowledge is the best way to have socioeconomic mobility and improve the lives of individuals. That keeps coming up. And you'll see it's rotating, right? The other part of that is everything we do needs to uphold our values. We have to behave in ways that honor our values. But at the same time, we need to strive for progress. We need to continue to try new and different things. And we need to fail at some things, right? We try some things that don't work, and we learn from that. So this is our guiding Plymouth Rock, our values, but at the same time, we need to strive for progress so that we can be a better organization tomorrow than we are today. A little bit of history about Northwest State Community College. We were formed in 1968, and we were a 4-county technical institute at that time. In 1972, we became Northwest State Technical College, and then in 1994, we became a state community college. We have over 60 academic programs that we offer at Northwest State, and one of those programs is a bachelor's bound, 2+2, so students can come to Northwest State for their first 2 years of education and then transfer onto a 4-year university to get their bachelor's degree. Our students, so last academic year, we served 5,746 learners. Over 3,100 of them were workforce. So we have lots of partners in our region, but also throughout the state, where we train apprentices so that they can earn their journeyman card and get a skilled trade and get out into the workforce. College Credit Plus, those are dual enrollment students, so high school students that are enrolled with Northwest State taking college classes. Our traditional students were 1,483, and you can see the breakdown there. 79% of our students are part-time students, and that's about 15% higher than the national average. So our student makeup is a little bit different than most community colleges. Something I want to point out here, our 6 counties are listed there in the pie chart, but 8% of our enrollment comes from Van Wert and Paulding County. 25% of our service population comes from those 2 counties. So we purchased a building in the city of Van Wert, and we're building a full-service campus there. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. So our enrollment right now, I fully anticipate that our fall enrollment is going to be more than it was last year. The entirety of our growth is in our workforce areas, our apprenticeships. That bottom row there, you can see we're, as far as the number of heads, and we get financed for FTE, full-time equivalents. But what I'm most proud of, 4 years ago, I stood in this same room and gave a speech to our campus and said that we need to get better at retaining our students. The national average for student retention, you can see, is 52.4%. At that time, we were hovering around 56%, 57%. And I strongly encouraged us to move as an institution. Let's find ways to keep our students, right? The easiest customers to have are the ones you already have, right? So let's keep the students we already have. And we've made a lot of progress in that. You can see our spring to fall retention this year was 72%. And that's a number I want to get on the rooftops and shout and dance and get all excited about that. Because it really is, when our students leave, if our students come to us and they leave, we have a 65% chance to get them back. If they leave again, we've got less than a 45% chance of getting them back. If they leave a third time, they never finish college. So we need to put systems in place. We need to be an organization that students just don't stop. They don't stop until they're finished. Custom Training Solutions is our workforce development division, and this is an area of growth for our college. We're partnered with 20 different joint apprenticeship training centers. So these are unions that provide training to apprentices that get their journeyman card, and then they have a life-sustaining wage. Over half of our enrollment is with our JATC partners. A few years ago, the Department of Labor we became a sponsor for registered apprenticeships. And in those, since 2019, we've helped build 25 different registered apprenticeships within our region. So this is helping employers build their workforce. A few weeks ago, the Department of Labor gave us the Apprentice Ambassador label, and they did this with a little over 200 organizations throughout the country, but we're one of only 2 community colleges in the state that received this Apprenticeship Ambassador label from the U.S. Department of Labor. The Ohio Manufacturers Association applied for the Good Jobs Challenge that came from the Economic Development Agency, and they were awarded $23.5 million. So the Ohio Manufacturers Association was awarded that it was a very competitive grant. Our Advanced Manufacturing Consortium we house out of Northwest State is an industry sector partnership with the OMA, and the AMC is receiving $930,000 from the Ohio Manufacturers Association to build the next generation of skilled workforce for our region. So huge win for Northwest State. Custom Training Solutions, to just talk a little bit more about workforce. They served 1,182 students. So these are students that are not enrolled in any academic program. They're students that come out and take a 4-hour Excel course or a 2-day customized training PLC course with us here at the college. Tech Cred is an opportunity for businesses to apply for funding from the state to put their employees through training and educational programs. And we're one of the top training providers for Tech Cred throughout the state. We're kind of middle of the road as far as size, but we're hitting above our weight when it comes to Tech Cred. And I'm getting a thumbs up from Lou, so that's good. Holistic learner services. So the private sector's got this figured out, right? If I'm a business and I want to sell you something, I need to break down all of those barriers, all of those reasons why you might say no, right? If you go to buy a car, within 5 minutes they'll have your credit score and 5 or 10 banks that are willing to finance that car for you. You go to Lowe's and you buy a refrigerator for a small nominal fee or potentially even free. They'll drive it to your home and take it into your kitchen and plug it in for you. Northwest State, we realized if we want our students to come to us, if we want our learners to stay in class, we need to help them overcome the barriers to them coming to class. So that's part of our role as an organization. And we've done that a number of different ways, and all of these reasons, all of these systems that we put into place have helped us get to that 72.4% retention rate. Tomorrow, September 30th, we have a grant that ends. It was a Title III grant that built an advising center in the C wing, but it's an academic advising. So every learner that comes into Northwest State goes to see an academic advisor, and that advisor will put the student on a plan so that the student can stay on the plan and the student can complete the plan. And those advisors, they become great mentors, great friends of the learners. After a learner completes 15 credits, those learners then get transferred to a faculty advisor. But I think if I had any advisors in the room, they'd tell you they still come to me. Like, it doesn't matter where they are in their journey, they still come and talk to me. But having that relationship between our advisors and our students has really helped keep our students on their path. TRIO support services. TRIO serves 140 of our learners, and the Guided Pathways to Success, the Advising Center, is academic advising, and TRIO is advising for everything outside of academics. I was explaining this to a board member one time, and the board member, oh, so you mean full contact advising? Yeah, kind of, I guess you could describe it like that. But the TRIO really helps the students have a sense of belonging. TRIO serves at-risk populations, so first generation students, disabled students, socioeconomically challenged students. And so bringing them together and building a community has really helped those students stay at Northwest State and complete as well. Achieving the Dream is a national organization that we partner with, and they help us look at our data, who's enrolled at Northwest State, but also who's not enrolled in Northwest State, and they help us design systems and strategies to recruit more students, but also serve students that, again, are at high risk. And that's another way that we've been able to keep our students at Northwest State. And finally, Graduation Alliance is we partner with them on a state program called 22+. We partner with them to help people who haven't gotten their high school diploma get their high school diploma. They also help us with the stop-out program. So earlier I talked about students that leave. We only have a 2/3 chance of getting them back. Graduation Alliance helps us get those students back. So we serve and we care. I started with the mission, and that's how I started there, was that we serve and we care. And there's so many stories that I could relate to you. If you've been to a green carpet event or you've been to a commencement, you've heard some of our students talk about the challenges that they've had to overcome to be able to complete their educational journey. I could talk about a 22-year-old single mom who's working both at McDonald's and Walmart, enrolled in a short-term 160 contact hour class with us, and was hired by a local manufacturer making $60,000 a year, in 4 short weeks. And there's so many of those stories, but the one I want to talk about, or the one I want to tell you today, is a welding class that we offered last fall. And we offered it in partnership with the City Mission, which is a homeless shelter in Findlay, Ohio, but also partnered with Fostoria Learning Center. And we had 6 students go through an 80-hour class on welding, and these are 6 homeless students. And when they completed that class, they all got offered jobs making $20 to $25 an hour. We have a number of these, we call them the Curb to Career programs. We partner with Cherry Street Mission in Toledo, the Defiance Dream Center. We're improving the lives of individuals with the work that we do. But what I really want to share about this welding class is it happened over the fall period through Thanksgiving. And the faculty member that was teaching the welding class drove from his home in Perrysburg to Findlay and picked up these 6 students, drove him to his home, and he fed them Thanksgiving dinner. So when I say we serve, we care, that story embodies Northwest State Community College. I got through that one. Those are hard for me. All right, moving on. We did an economic study for fiscal year 20. And what we learned, we partnered with MC Burning Glass. They're a research organization that does these types of things. And what we learned is that Northwest State provides value, creates value to our region in a number of different ways. The first way is through our operations. In fiscal year 20, we spent $16.5 million in the local community. Our students spent $1.6 million. Our alumni spent $40.5 million. So in 1 year, we had a $58.6 million impact in our community. And if you translate these into the number of jobs, 1 in every 99 jobs in Northwest Ohio is impacted by the operations that we do here at Northwest State Community College. And this is my favorite kind of slide, because what do the students get out of their education? First, our graduates make $9,900 more every year than people that haven't completed high school or college programs. That's almost $400,000 more in lifetime earnings. And this is the best one. For every dollar that a student spends with Northwest State Community College, they receive $3.30 back. So definitely a good value for our students. What do the taxpayers get? Well, the first thing I need to mention is that we generate more tax revenue than we take in from the state. We're a state community college, so we receive state funding, state support. And for every dollar that we receive in tax funds, the taxpayers receive $2.70 back. And the impact on society, for every dollar that Northwest is invested in Northwest State, society gets $7.50 back in return. And that's in future tax earnings, tax revenues that's created, and then savings on social programs. So the great debate on whether or not higher education is worth it, what's the ROI? Certainly at Northwest State, the ROI is definitely there. So Your Communities College, so we have a very strong foundation. Peter Beck is the chair of the foundation, and Robin works with that as well. She's the executive director. They awarded more than $1 million in scholarships this year. And Northwest State institutional scholarships, we've had a long-time strategy to grow the number of presidential and honor scholarships that we provide every year. And when we started this, we were right around 30 or 35 scholarships that we would award. And this year we offered 170. And if you look at our entire student body, 290 students are receiving the presidential or honor scholarship. One of our initiatives in this coming year is right now, if you want a scholarship from the foundation, there's an application period between November and February. And you fill out the application, and then the decision's made in March, and they're awarded in April. We want to change that. We're a continuous enrollment institution. Every 8 weeks, you can get into a class, but we only offer scholarships one time a year. So we're going to be changing that. We're looking at offering scholarships year-round, and I'm working with the foundation and the team to figure out how to do that. But that's something that we need to get right moving forward. Black Swamp Safety Council, the foundation operates the Black Swamp Safety Council. Once a month they come in, they have a learning topic. Many of our local companies send representatives so that they can get that knowledge and a discount. So how do our students pay for classes? There's a number of different ways, and one of the things that I truly appreciate about the DeWine Husted administration and also by our legislators is that they continue to put these pockets of money in the operating budget that if you're willing to go and do the work, if you're willing to, and you have the ability to pivot, you can get this additional funding either for the organization or for the students. And I don't even have them all listed up here. Rapids would be one that's not listed here, and that the state is awarded money to different regions so that we can buy equipment for our training. There's a $5 million budget line item for safety grant that we can go after. But some of the other ones that directly impact our students, the short-term certificate. So this is a state-funded program where we can receive funds from the state, and we've been awarded over $200,000 to date in this program that we can pass on to our students, and the students can receive $1,000 grant towards their education. Choose Ohio First is another program that's a state initiative where we can, again, award students money to pay for their classes for their program. Second Chance Voucher is another state initiative where we can, if a student has stopped out, if they've stopped coming to us for a period of time, and there's rules attached to all this, but we can award them $2,000 if they'll come back to Northwest State to complete their degree or certificate. And financial aid also includes the Pell Grant. So these are, between the foundation, Northwest State scholarships that we offer, different federal and state grants. I didn't even really talk about some of the federal grants that we have that will help pay for tuition. It leads me to this slide. When we talk about the demographics of our enrollment, we really look at kind of three buckets. We have our agency, the apprenticeship partnerships that I talked about, which is over half of our enrollment. College Credit Plus, and those two demographics of students don't pay any tuition. The revenue that's generated by the partnership pays all of the fees for our apprenticeships. By state policy, the high school students don't pay any tuition. So those two groups have zero out-of-pocket costs. So then we look at our traditional students, and last year we had 1,480 students in that category. And if we divide the total amount of money that we've collected from those students, and now this is tuition, fees, books, whatever other costs there may be, that they paid an average of $65 per student. But when we look at that 1,480 and we break that down further, 617 or 40% of those students had zero out-of-pocket costs. And it's Pell Grant, it's some of those state scholarships and grants that I talked about. It's the institutional scholarships that I've talked about. 60% of our students, 60% of this group of students paid an average of $109 per credit hour to come to Northwest State Community College. Our tuition alone is $187. So even the students that had out-of-pocket costs had some sort of financial support to come to Northwest State Community College. And we could sit and have a great discussion and debate about the pros and cons of free college for everyone. But I hope we can all agree that money should never be the only reason that someone doesn't go to college. And at Northwest State in Northwest Ohio, we've been very generous in making sure that students have access, right? That mission statement to serve by providing access. Well, part of that access is being able to afford it. And we've partnered with the state, we've partnered with the federal government in finding ways for our students to be able to afford their education. The BHAG, how many people here know what a BHAG is? That's a good number, that's a good number. So last fall, we put out a goal in healthcare. And that was to double the number of healthcare professionals that we educate and train every year by next spring's commencement. And the reason we went this route is one, we realized we have a couple of programs. We have nursing, phlebotomy, and medical assisting. Like that's everything we were doing in healthcare. And there's so much more in healthcare than those three professions. But even within those programs, we were not even at capacity. We were down in those programs. And I've felt that our role as a community college, how we can help our community overcome the impact of the pandemic was we could produce more healthcare workers. So that we set this goal. And we've met with members of the community. We've got different committees on campus meeting pretty regularly, and we've gotten a couple of quick, short wins. We've created two new certificate programs that we're already recruiting and putting students through. We have a couple of nursing students that ran out of financial aid and they were going to have to stop out. Again, if we lose students, we only get a 2 out of 3 chance of getting them back. But we had created some scholarships, made available funding for healthcare students, and we were able to retain those 2 students. And there's we've got a community partner that's going to hire a nurse to be a full-time clinical faculty member for us. And these all were generated out of the conversations that were mandated by the BHAG. So it's been a big focus for us this past year, and we still have a lot of work to do. I'm confident that the team and the community, we're coming together. This number is going to be too small of a goal in the end, is my estimation. But it was important for us to kind of put a focus on healthcare. Earlier, I talked about Van Wert, and they're 8% of our enrollment and 25% of our service population. We bought the old Kennedy building in Van Wert. We've hired Dr. John Tomlinson. He's in the back there. He's the dean of the Van Wert campus. We've had a number of listening sessions in Van Wert and Paulding County, and our goal is to build a full-service campus there. We've been in Van Wert a couple of different times, and they've been limited programs, limited offering. In some cases, we asked people on main campus to support and run something in Van Wert. So there's opportunities for us to learn. I talked earlier, we learn from our mistakes, we fail forward. We've learned a lot with our previous attempts in Van Wert. This time we're going all in. It's a full-service campus. Those students are going to have access to all of the scholarship funding and grant funding that I talked about earlier. They're going to have access to coaches in TRIO, advising center. It's going to be a full-service campus. But the purpose of those listening sessions is I didn't want to announce or tell the counties of Van Wert and Paulding, this is what we're giving you. We're really asking, how can we serve you the best? What programs, what do you need from Northwest State Community College? How can we best serve you? And those listening sessions have been well attended. I was at one of them, and they said we need healthcare, business, technology, engineering. That's our whole catalog. So what can we help you with quickly? But we're going to start offering classes in January, and Van Wert Health has graciously offered us the ability to use one of their conference rooms. It's got all the technology. It's a beautiful space. So we're going to begin offering classes at Van Wert Health with the goal of having the building available for classes the fall of next year. Real quick, I'll talk about a master plan. In June of this year, our board approved a 10-year master plan, and this is really what do our facilities at Northwest State need to look like so that they can support our programs and where we're going as an institution. A couple of projects, the B building renovation is already on, the RFQ is out, so it's funded, approved, and we're just waiting for the proposals to come back in to choose our partners on that. In the first floor of the A building, when I was doing listening sessions prior to my presidency, one of the things that I heard from many people was there used to be a lot of energy in the first floor of A building. There was always a buzz, and we're trying to recreate that. This is an overhead of our campus. One of the items identified in the master plan was a building expansion, so just expanding out that way. And that would be for custom training solutions. Earlier I talked about how our workforce, our CTS was an area of growth for us. We need to build a space for them. They're currently sharing the H building with healthcare, and we want to grow healthcare, and CTS is growing, so this makes sense. When you drive around our campus, you can't find the front door. I guess you realize that. So one of the things that there was a special event today, so these doors were unlocked, but normally every exterior door is locked and you need a key card to get in, with the exception of door A10, which is on the north side, kind of central located. So this is making it obvious and apparent where our front door is. And here's just a couple of other views of that. The event center, so this was a blind spot for me. Part of the master plan is we had these focus groups with community members, with students, faculty, and staff, and in every group, they said the entire campus is beige, so they want us to paint some stuff. We'll do that. But every group also said that our auditorium is too small. So this is an event center that would sit right where we are, but double the capacity. So I've been speaking for about 30 minutes now, and there's really only 3 things I want you to remember. First is that we're here to serve and we care. Like that's who we are as an organization. Second, Northwest State is an asset to our region. We generate more resources than we consume. And finally, we're forward-looking, and the future looks pretty bright. You can clap now. Thank you. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Jack Hershey. Hershey is the president and CEO of the Ohio Association of Community Colleges, which represents the presidents and trustees of the state's 23 community colleges. Hershey came to the OACC in 2014 after spending 10 years at The Ohio State University, where he most recently was the university's Associate Vice President for State Relations, a position in which he managed state government affairs for the university. Hershey was a leader on successful collaborations by all state colleges and universities to produce a unified approach to funding for both capital and operating budgets for campuses statewide. Both models were endorsed by Governor John Kasich and were supported by large bipartisan majorities in the Ohio General Assembly. Earlier in his career, Hershey was deputy director of the Office of Budget and Management under former Governor Bob Taft and was director of finance and a financial analyst in the Ohio House of Representatives under former Speaker Joanne Davidson. A Cleveland area native, Hershey holds a bachelor's degree in public policy management from the University of Akron. He is pursuing a master's degree public policy management from Ohio State. Hershey, his wife Sharon, and their 2 children reside in the Columbus area. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Hershey.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning to everyone here. Good morning to the board. Thank you for having me. Always fun to come and talk about community colleges. Let me start with this. David Letterman is my favorite talk show host. Not so much this weird Santa version of David Letterman that has emerged in recent years, but David Letterman was like the first thing that went viral when I was a high school student. It was the Velcro suit. Does everybody remember the Velcro suit? It was that, followed by the Alka-Seltzer suit, which almost killed him apparently because they didn't think of, what that would do to the lungs to have 14,000 or whatever Alka-Seltzer. Maybe it was alcohol. Maybe that was the reason. As I was putting the remarks together today, I realized that I had a chance to fill a bucket list of mine, which is I had about 10 things to say. And so I present to you today, really, my top 10 list of the top 10 reasons to be excited about the future of community colleges. Number 1 is that the stopped-out students are ready to return, according to many surveys that have been done of college students nationwide. Half of the students who stopped out during COVID have recently reported that they are ready to reconsider enrolling in the past 2 years. The most likely to enroll are those who were previously enrolled in associate degree programs, obviously exciting for community colleges. And of those who've stopped out of bachelor's degree programs, about a third of them are ready to come back to pursue an associate degree program. Number 2 is that the ideal job in most Americans' minds still goes through higher education. Adults who have never enrolled in college before still believe that higher ed is important. They believe that it is the key to their ideal job in the workforce. 90% of those who are currently enrolled in higher education believe it's important. That's probably not surprising to us, but a third of those who believe that they are in their ideal job right now and have never been to college still feel that they should enroll in higher ed in order to get to their next level of their ideal job. Number 3 is that certificates and associate degrees are cool. They are in demand. So if you look at the adults who are out there who are considering coming back, certificate programs, you just heard how important those are and how great a job Northwest State is doing with certificate programs. They are the entryway. They are the hook to bring people back into higher education. 30% of the adults surveyed said that's the thing they want to pursue. Another 20% would say that associate degrees are what they want to look at. Number 4, I'm not doing a good top 10 number 4 introduction, and I don't have a drum roll or anything, but number 4, thank you, is that cost matters the most to potential students who are coming back. You heard those numbers about how Northwest State has done a fantastic job in trying to reduce the cost as a barrier to entry back into higher education. Almost 60% of the students who have never enrolled, who think that they want to come back, have cost as their number one factor. I want to go to number 3, though, the 24%. I'm actually surprised that number is so low. Work conflicts. This is a problem that I think higher education has. We forget that our students are not full-time students. We forget that they're working. We forget they have jobs that need to support their families and their lifestyles. You heard, I think, from these numbers that Northwest State has a lot of working students, right? I think the future of higher education is that community college students, we get them a job when they enroll, not when they graduate. And as close to enrollment as possible, you hook them up with a local employer, and that allows them to complete. That gives them the financial stability to say that I can complete my degree or certificate program, and they know that they've got the backing of their employer to do so. Number 5. Ohio workforce, the demands for workers has never been greater. Never been greater, right? The demand, now if I go pre-pandemic, it was almost job number 1 back then. It's actually gotten more intense during the pandemic, which is not what anybody thought at the beginning. We thought we would be very high unemployment rates, that we would have all the workers we need. That is just not the case. I hear it in every single corner of the state. On top of that, Jobs Ohio is having the best year in its existence. The attraction of Ohio, especially from companies on both the East and West Coast to relocate because of our quality of life, our cost of living, has just never been greater, and it is producing a lot more opportunities. Third is that manufacturing, I say this, there's a long-standing debate that happens in Columbus. Is agriculture or manufacturing the most important industry in Ohio? The answer to me is both. I don't know what the squabble's about. They're both really important. But manufacturing is really about to ramp up with the addition of a brand new industry in microchip manufacturing. And I say this no matter where I go in the state. I know the first splash was that Intel is coming to Columbus. Intel's just the company. The supply chain is the prize. The supply chain is going to be huge and enormous, and it's going to be in every county in the state of Ohio, and it is going to be a magnet that will draw additional manufacturers to this state. And I will say this, they're not coming to Columbus, right? Intel's gone to Columbus. They've taken all the workers there. Those other manufacturers are going to go throughout the state. I also say this, especially to those of you at Northwest State, the pressure on us to produce has never been greater. We need to get every student who enrolls with us in some of these programs through because every employer out there needs it. And if we don't solve our own problems, we are inviting the state to come in and solve them for us because the state is not going to let our businesses fail. Number 6, the good news is we're doing a good job. We are increasing student success. For those of you who are not aware, during the pandemic, enrollment in community colleges went down. It was the one sector where it went down. It stayed pretty flat at universities across the nation. We saw dips in enrollment. But the good news is that over the last 8 years, even with low enrollment, we have seen some of our highest production levels ever. I have story after story of colleges who have had the biggest graduation ceremonies, even though they've got very low enrollment compared to historical standards. 16% increase in the amount of associate degrees awarded throughout the state over the last 8 years, a 34% increase in the number of one-year certificates, and a 40% increase in credentials to minority students throughout the state. Those take a second to absorb those. Those are huge gains in a very short period of time that have come from a very lengthy, dedicated commitment to increasing student success by changing policies and procedures and practices throughout every college in Ohio. Number 7, College Credit Plus. You heard how important it was to the enrollment picture here at Northwest State. Our state auditor, Keith Faber, just released a performance audit on College Credit Plus, specifically on that program. You know, a performance audit is not to come in and say, are you actually, are you spending the money right and all that stuff? It's to look at the program comprehensively and say, where can we improve this? The headline is he thinks the program is the key to moving us forward in workforce. He called on the state to more actively promote College Credit Plus enrollment, especially to low-income individuals. I think if you look at College Credit Plus so far, it's doing really well amongst the middle to upper class. It's doing really well amongst students who already thought they were going to college. It's doing really well in suburban school districts. It's missed the mark on lower income individuals. It's missed the mark on that population who never thought they were college material, and we're missing that chance while they're in high school to put them in a college class and change the perception and say, oh, I may have been told by my friends, by my family, that I'm not college material, but you take one class while you're in high school at no cost to you, it can change the trajectory of that student. Auditor also called for more high school teachers to obtain credentials. You can take College Credit Plus in a lot of different ways. He believes that the easiest way for students is to take it in the high school without them having to leave and go to figure out transportation to a college to take it. And then the boldest one to me was he proposed sanctions for school districts that do not actively promote these opportunities. He found in asking and surveying K through 12 school districts that some of them said we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're not telling students about it. We're not telling parents about it. And law says that they are supposed to actively inform students about it. And he has proposed some sanctions, didn't specify what they were, but some sanctions to school districts to get them to more actively promote it. Number 8. Political persuasion is starting to matter more. I have always said the greatest thing about higher education is that everybody loves us. Republicans, Democrats, independents, they may love us for different reasons. I understand that, but they've always loved us. That is changing a little bit, right? It is changing more on perceptions at universities than community colleges, but it's something we have to pay attention to. It is something I hold dearly in my job and role at the association, is to make sure that we're not doing things that annoy either party. Because at the end of the day, we're open access mission, right? Those doors, well, even though it's only one door, the doors are open to anybody in the community who want to come. And I think we need to maintain that, right? I mean, I think if you saw us take positions over the last several years, you'd see you won't see me weighing in on some of the hot button issues. You won't see me, yelling and screaming about certain things, because at the end of the day, a community college needs to be welcoming to all. That is how we grow enrollment, how we serve our community. But you are seeing some changes, right? Republicans are more likely to recommend to their family and close friends that they pursue an associate degree or a certificate. Democrats are more likely to recommend a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And when asked overall if higher education is a good return on investment, that's overall for everybody, not just community colleges, you start to see the gap, right? 69% of Republicans agree that it does, 85% of Democrats agree that it does. That's not great in my mind, right? That's not great. The good news is, though, that overall, Americans still love community colleges. So let's just run through these and feel good about ourselves for a second, right? 85% believe that we contribute to a strong workforce higher than any other sector. More than any other sector, they believe that community colleges are worth the cost. More than any other sector, they believe that supporting public community colleges with taxpayer dollars is a wise investment. And the majority of Americans, and only in our sector, would say that higher education is underfunded for community colleges. And the majority of Americans believe that community colleges are run efficiently. Those are encouraging signs for us as we move forward, and I say that it is all of our jobs to make sure that Americans continue to love us. Number 10, I will say more important than whether Americans love us is, do our students love us? So we have just completed a survey that happened with community college students across the state. We asked them a whole slew of things about their entire experience with the state. The one thing we asked them was, you're a community college student today, how likely are you to recommend that a friend or family member enroll in a community college? Think for a second what your answer would be. What percent do you think would say, yes, I would recommend it? Number 10, 96%. 96% of community college students say they would recommend to their friends. That's your marketing, right? Take care of those students who come here, love them to success, get them through, do whatever you can, because they become your marketing tool when they go out into the community. Thank you. Thank you for letting me do a top 10. This was a fun thing. I asked Todd to put a Velcro wall up here. He did not. I'm disappointed by that. But thank you. Appreciate what you can do this morning.
Okay, I'm going to introduce our final speaker this morning. Dr. Tiffany Johnston is the new Chief Nursing Officer at Fulton County Health Center in Wauseon. Johnston holds a Doctorate of Nursing Practice in Health Systems Leadership from Mount St. Joseph University in Cincinnati. She holds a Master's degree of Science in Nursing from the University of Phoenix and an Associate degree of Science in Nursing from Northwest State Community College. She is also a 2021 Distinguished Alumni recipient from Northwest State. Dr. Johnston has 17 years of service within the ProMedica Health System, with her last position as Lead Nursing Director at ProMedica Flower Hospital in Sylvania. She worked in a variety of other roles at Flower Hospital, including Clinical Director, Clinical Manager, Patient Care Supervisor, Clinical Nurse Resource, and Bedside RN. She also served as ProMedica Flower Hospital's Planning Chief for Incident Command during the COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Tiffany Johnston.
Good morning, everybody. I am so honored to be here today. And I was asked to kind of explain how happy I am to have been an alumni of Northwest State Community College and how it's changed my life and how I'm blessed to be giving back to my community now, being Chief Nursing Officer at Fulton County Health Center. I'd first like to thank Northwest State Community College for the opportunity and honor to become part of the Distinguished Alumni in 2021. When looking into which college I wanted to attend after high school, Northwest State was always on top of that list. I knew that doing well in college was not the only goal I had in mind. I wanted to make sure I passed the nursing licensure exam after graduation, so I was able to become an RN. Northwest State had and continues to have exceedingly high licensure exam passing rates on the first try. This was the reason I knew Northwest State was the college to help me reach my goal of becoming a registered nurse and at an affordable rate. What I did not expect was Northwest State nursing program to teach me how to become an excellent multitasker, a master organizer, and the necessity for being detail-oriented. These traits have attributed to my success in not only bedside nursing, but also nursing leadership career. Northwest State Community College affected me personally in many ways as well. From Mr. Teff's microbiology class, reconfirming my personal faith and the all I have in our Creator down to the cellular level, to the patience and commitment that Patty Altman had as my nursing advisor. I use those attributes every day in my personal and professional life. I have never forgot the compassion the security guards showed by offering tissues to those nursing students crying in Building A, reassuring me that while this situation is stressful now, everything will be okay. On my graduation day from Northwest State, one of my nursing instructors, Kathy Greitman, provided each of the graduates with a picture frame with a quote from Florence Nightingale. Nursing is an art, and if it is to be made an art, requires an exclusive devotion, as hard a preparation as any painter's or sculptor's work. For what is having to do with dead canvas or cold marble compared with having to do with the living body, the temple of God's Spirit? This is one of the fine arts. I had almost said the finest of fine arts. This framed quote sits on my desk today. It reminds me of my purpose. It also reminds me where I came from. I started out wanting to become a nurse in at least the first grade. That's the first documented statement of that. And now I realize my future endeavors are unlimited. My latest adventure, becoming Chief Nursing Officer at Fulton County Health Center. I am so honored to be able to serve my own community in this capacity. I'm thankful for them for taking a chance on a local girl and promise to do my very best in that role. And finally, I want to thank Northwest State. Thank you for providing me the foundation to start my life's passion.
Okay, well, so we're just about finished, but there's a few acknowledgments I'd like to make before we adjourn. We have a few state representatives, Jim Hoops, Craig Riedel, thanks for coming today. There's a number of county commissioners. Could you, if you're a county commissioner, could you please stand? Thank you, Todd and John, for coming. And last but not least, I would like to acknowledge my Board of Trustees. So if you're a board member here today, could you please stand? I hope you're walking away with a positive message. Things are well at Northwest State, and it starts at the top with the leadership that our board provides, but then also all of my team members and associates that are here as well. So thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.